Hey guys, and welcome back to another Conan Exiles video. Today I have some news on upcoming combat changes in a future update directly from Dennis himself. The Age of War Chapter 3 introduced changes to rotation during combat that have left things feeling fairly clumsy when it comes to fighting enemies. However, that looks to be changing for the better in the future. These changes were communicated directly from Dennis, the Associate Game Director of Conan Exiles. However, it's important to know that what we will discuss today is subject to change. These adjustments to combat are still a while away, so unforeseen issues could slow or hamper their deployment. However, if everything goes to plan, these changes will be implemented in a future update. The changes will most likely arrive in the Age of War Chapter 4, as they still require implementation and testing, so they'll be tested a bit more rigorously rather than trying to rush them into a mid-January patch. The first proposed change is to add a gameplay option for your character to continually rotate towards your HUD dot. This will emulate how combat was before the Age of War Chapter 3, whilst retaining the functionality introduced in that update for those who prefer the new system. Rather than doing a full revert of the combat update from the previous chapter, which they don't currently have the development bandwidth to do, the team want to add the option to have both combat styles to ensure everyone is happy, regardless of which they do prefer. The main thing holding this back will be localization, to ensure the option is understood in every language, alongside the obvious testing. Even as somebody who only occasionally engages in combat in Conan, the adjustments to rotation feel really clumsy compared to how combat in Chapter 2 felt, so I think having the option for both the old and the new system to suit both types of players will be a good option to have. The second change will be adjustments to available rotations during an attack. Dennis is going to be going through every attack animation with a fine-tooth comb and adjusting the available rotations to adjust both player and NPC attacks that are either too lethal or too frustrating to fight. I've seen a fair few clips now of really strange rotation behaviours from some of the world bosses, and yeah, it seems like a problem. The fix will definitely be a very welcome one, and by nature of going through them quite meticulously, the end results should hopefully be better and more fine-tuned. The third change is to increase player rotation speed during movement, not during attacking. This is pretty simple, but it should make running around a bit more snappy and fluid, which sounds pretty good to me. Finally, the fourth change is to increase the speed of rotating during attacks to match the new default rotation speed mentioned earlier, so your character will always rotate at a consistent speed when you can rotate. The result is that you'll be able to change attacks on a dime as you could in the Age of War Chapter 3, however there will be a slight rotating animation on the player to make that smooth and more visually readable. I really liked being able to just snap to other directions with attacks. That's my personal taste, but I think having that rotation animation makes a lot more sense. Yeah, the previous system felt cool, but looking at it, it was a tad nonsensical in terms of the physics department. I think this will also affect NPCs, so they won't just throw attacks instantly in other directions and will turn too, which will give you just that little bit of wiggle room to dodge or react to their attack. Overall, whilst we'll still get the functionality from being able to attack and turn at the same time that was introduced in the Age of War Chapter 2, it'll be a little more logical and grounded when it returns. Dennis said these changes were submitted on the 5th of January to start on internal testing. They want to extensively and rigorously test these fixes so the changes can be definitive and not to leave things in flux. Because of that, these changes likely will not materialise until the Age of War Chapter 4, and of course some things could change based on the results of those internal tests. Overall, some pretty good news that the contentious changes to combat will be adjusted and improved in the future, however they unfortunately won't make it into the game for the mid-January hotfix. It's a touch disappointing to hear that now, but then again, mid-January is just around the corner, and probably the worst thing they could do would be to rush these changes and potentially make the situation even worse. We can probably expect the Age of War Chapter 4 in March 2024, so there is a bit of time to wait. Hopefully the extra time spent in testing will result in changes that do not need any further adjustments or tinkering, and they can just deploy and benefit the game in the future. And there we have it, a sneak peek of the combat changes coming in the Age of War Chapter 4. Thank you for watching, and of course a massive thanks to our wonderful esteemed coffee cultists for continuing to support the channel over on Patreon. Do let me know what you think of these proposed changes. I'll be covering them more in depth in the future when Chapter 4 drops, but for now there is some hope on the horizon. Again, thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you soon.